I will say this: there was one game where Allen Iverson threatened Steve Javi, and we felt as a staff he should have been suspended, but he was only fined $25,000. I had the next game, and the two referees and myself in the morning meeting decided that Allen Iverson, although he carries the ball all the time and it's never called, we were going to enforce that rule against him that night. And we went out in the first half, and we all each took a turn. You know, we had a pact. We're all going to call a palming violation on him, and we did that. And I did tell, Tommy to bet against Denver that night. And Iverson came up to me during a free throw, and he said, "Tim, how long is this going to go on for?" I said, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "You know what I'm talking about." And I just smirked, and he knew it was, he was going to have a problem for the next couple of games for what he did.
First bet that you placed on an NBA game?
The first time I placed a bet on an NBA game was I was at home, and I was looking at the Philadelphia Daily News, and every day I would look at the lines and the spreads, and I also looked at the referee's master schedule of who was officiating games that day. And then I went over to the country club to play golf, and my buddy asked me to give him a couple plays in the NBA that night, and I rattled off 3 games to him, and they all won. And the next day he called me up and asked me if it was that easy, and I said it was, based on who was officiating the games.
So based on the general public, is 70 to 80%, is that just an obscenely high number in terms of winning?
Incredibly high. If you can win 57 to 58% of the time, that's considered good in the gambling world. So when we were winning at 70 to 80% of the time, that was an insane amount of percentage to pick games. Okay,
because most of the games that you bet on were games that you were a referee in, right?
Not in the beginning, they weren't, but it eventually spilled into that when I would be in the lunchroom or locker room or pregame meeting and know that certain things were going to be done in that game that night, and certain teams were going to be put at an advantage or a disadvantage. I would spill that information over to the people that I was gambling with and started to bet on games that I officiated.
Okay, because when people hear your story, they assume that you being the ref, you're going to be officiating in a way that's going to help you win a bet. But based on the FBI going through all the records, as well as an NBA internal investigation, they both confirmed that you never actually made bad calls in order to help you win bets.
No, I didn't do that. But what I did do was I knew what the league wanted the officials to call that night, and it would put a team or a player at an advantage or a disadvantage. And then I would look at the line and see with that.
What about the first bet that you played?
You can call an illegal screen or traveling every time down the floor in the NBA. Right. So it's not like you're going to be wrong if all of a sudden you start calling it. So you're just going to go out and you're going to do what they tell you to do. And I remember there was travels called on Yao Ming, illegal screens, and all of a sudden he's on the bench and there's a problem. And Dallas, like I said, wins the next 2 games and ends up winning that series in 7. So that's why Van Gundy was so furious, because how many series are you up 2 games to none, right? Going to your home floor,